James Ham. James, we've talked a lot about the Siakam stuff and potential deals for Siakam. We worked it. Here, we'll throw Jesse's question to you. Jesse probably gonna be scared off the mic a little bit after the way this started.
I'm still here.
Okay, all right, still standing, still strong,
still strong.
No.
I love that song, by the way. Shout out to Sing. That's where it like really took off for me.
Oh, you said Sing.
Yeah.
I thought you said Sting. I was like, nope, that's not it.
Who does sing that?
Is
song
that
again?
Elton John?
Yeah, it is Elton
Yeah.
John.
Sting is like talking about stalkers in every breath you
Yeah,
take.
Sting.
Yeah, that's
saying.
Puffy. I'll be missing you, or Sean.
Sean. That's right. It's Sean Combs. It is Sean. What was I going to ask, James?
Jesse's question.
If it's Herter, Barnes, and Davion, just for fun, Herter, Barnes, and Davion, that's the trade for Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all of the risks that come with Siakam.
Yep.
Washington calls and says, whoa. We'll take that same deal for Kyle Kuzma. Which one do you like more?
Yeah, see, it's a great question. It is really.
Bruce or Jesse?
Good question, because I had someone ask me that today. Well, why don't you just take that deal for Kuzma? First of all, I think either way you're going to have to give up a first-round pick. Like either deal, you're giving up a first-round pick.
Even Siakam with no years?
So. That's a tall ask if they're asking for a first-round pick for Siakam.
Okay, so like the complexities of Siakam are like it's not as cut and dry as you would think, right? So when you trade for a player like Siakam, first of all, there's not a lot of teams in the league that are going to have the type of salary cap space to go out and sign him to a mega deal, right? When you trade for a player and you get his contract, you also get his Larry Bird rights afterwards. So not only can the Kings have a starting salary that's higher than anyone else, he can go up to 30% of the cap unless somehow it becomes an all-NBA player, then it go up to 35% of the cap. You can give him up to 30% of the cap, but as your own free agent, you can give him 8% per year raises.
Okay.
If he's a free agent, the best he can get is 5%. And when we're talking about this much money, that is a lot. Like when you're talking about a $200 million deal or $192 million deal, the Kings, if they traded for him, they would also, if I'm not mistaken, have the option to not sign him to a 4-year deal, which is the most amount of years you can sign a free agent to. But if he's your own free agent, you can give him a 5th year. So there's even that option. Whether you would give Pascal Siakam at 29, going on 30, a 5-year contract or not, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. But on the flip side, the deal for Kyle Kuzma, his contract is just the best. Like in all honesty, it's the same exact contract that Ken Catanella got both Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield to sign. It's a declining scale contract that starts at 25.5, goes to 23.5, down to 21.5, and down to 19.5. So basically, you could get Kuzma, no questions asked, under contract for 4 years, for 3 more years, on a declining scale deal, and like not have to worry about free agency this offseason. Now, I would make the argument that Pascal Siakam is a better player, but is he twice as good?
But how much? Yeah.
And so that's the brilliance of Kuzma. Now, Kuzma, you're going to have to give up at least a first-round pick. They want to, but I think...
So, yeah, so Kuzma is different to me than Siakam when it comes to picks because you have the years. So, like, in that regard, I understand. And Siakam, we've got to restructure this in our fictitious deal that we just created here somewhere. You can't have all 3 of these players and draft capital.
No, probably. For Siakam, you're still...
Well, then I got to walk away.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that.
You're going to get a future protected pick. You're not getting multiples. You're not getting...
Bro, you can have a second-round pick. Get out of my face.
Maybe that's it. But that's always...
Someone needs to bully Masai Ujiri. That's what it is. It's getting out of control.
He'll be here in Sacramento. From what I know, like him and
Kenny,
their whole front office.
I'm gonna go talk to him.
From what I heard,
is here. Talk to him.
Yeah, I heard their whole front office is in Sacramento.
Well, get the deal done before 7.
And look, I mean,
in fact, get the deal done right now. We'll break it.
You tell me that's not a coincidence, right?
Maybe.
I mean, I know front office people travel. I understand.
Yeah.
But I think they they probably want to sit down and talk.
It's a long road trip on the West Coast.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
They might want to talk to Golden State too.
Yeah,
They also
exactly.
might want to get out of Toronto in the middle of winter, which if you're Pascal Siakam and you roll up and you walk outside and throw on a hoodie and you're like, okay, this is what it's like in January?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a sec.
You got your Raptors hoodie on, sleeves pulled up a little bit. Yeah, you're feeling good.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I'm torn on this because I don't know. I mean, it's a negotiation. You don't have to necessarily give Pascal Siakam a 4-year, $192 million contract extension. If that's all he'll sign for, you can say, go ahead and see what else is out there. The problem the Kings have is, again, like sometimes we get into complex salary cap situations here. The salary cap is going up to like 144 to 145 million, maybe a little bit more than that. It could go up to like 146, 147, 148 million, right? Which is a lot. But
real quick, where was it at? Where is it at now?
It's at 133. So the most it can go up in a year.
Player.
Okay, I think the most it can go up in a year is 10%. So the most that would put it at like 148, right? That's the most. And if the Kings were to trade, we talked about Davion, we talked about Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes. That in itself is roughly next year is roughly $40 million. The Kings would drop down to like $115 million in salary cap space, in salary cap used, but they would have 7 cap holds for minimums. And then on top of that, you have your mid-level, which is a cap hold, which is like 12 million. And then on top of that, you'd have the 12 million cap hold for Malik Monk. So you can look 115 versus 49 million, 148 million. So you would think, oh, you got $33 million in cap space. But when you take out just right away the $24 million for the mid-level exception and the biannual exception, I mean the early bird rights to Malik Monk, that's $24 million. You'd only have roughly 15 million, and that doesn't even take into consideration all the little cap holds. So you might have $8 million worth of free cap space, but you lost Kevin Huerter, you lost Davion Mitchell, you lost Harrison Barnes, and you lost Pascal Siakam via free agency. So my point would be is that it's a really big risk to go out and trade for Pascal Siakam because you don't have a way to replace the players that you're going to lose if they walk. You're literally looking at like a $12 million player, maybe Malik Monk, maybe a biannual exception. And so you can't really replace those players.
So let's not gloss over that too much. How does Malik fit? Probably less in the Kyle Kuzma situation because it wouldn't disrupt anything, right?
Well, no, and like what you guys, the Kyle Kuzma deal would be either Harrison Barnes or Kevin Huerter and Davion Mitchell. It would not be both because he only makes $25 million.
Okay.
So
Malik, you could still pay all of the numbers that you've laid out.
Yeah.
What about Siakam?
It's the same. So
it's exactly the same. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I think Siakam. Well, yeah, it's going to be the same because on one hand you would have Kuzma and either Huerter or Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have basically $42 million and $43 million in cap.
Mm-hmm.
Or in Siakam's case, you'd have basically a $43 million starting salary. So either way, you're going to have the same amount of cap no matter what. So if you're giving up all these players that we're talking about and you're taking back Siakam and then signing Siakam, it's basically a wash. Like you're not taking on a whole bunch more for Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the big difference I would say between this and like the Zach LaVine deal is that Zach LaVine, it's going to cost you all those things. And he's already on a path to make 43, 40, 47, 51, and 53, something crazy like that. It's almost $200 million. So, or maybe it's 176 over 3 years, something like that. Either way, it's a ton. I don't know how you would bring on another shooting guard in Malik Monk in that situation and think that you're going to be A-okay money-wise.
Sure.
Because you got to still fill up these other positions. That's where I think trading for either Kuzma or trading for Siakam makes way more sense than trading for a guard. Now, again, if Donovan Mitchell became available, then I'm changing my tune and I'm going all in on Donovan Mitchell. But that's because Donovan Mitchell is an all-star and a proven like next level player that might be able to take you to a championship alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. It's all of these deals they're complex in their own way, and they take like a lot of consideration, and especially when it's like draft capital. Like with Kuzma, I'll give up a lottery protected pick, or I'll give up a top 10 protected pick in 2026. Maybe a second or 2 second round picks, but I'm not breaking the bank for a guy who's putting up numbers on one of the worst basketball teams in the league. Like he's an 18 to 19 point per game scorer. I think he's a good scorer. He can get you 20 on any night, right? But he's not a 23 points per game guy if he's on a real team. He's not on a real team. He's on a fake team that doesn't do anything well. They're just going through the motions. So again, I'm not going to reward a team because you inflated a guy's stats by being just horrible, and he's a guy who puts up numbers on a bad team.
But he's not horrible though. He's a good basketball player.
No. I think that I like Kyle Kuzma. Like the idea of Kyle Kuzma, especially like not last year's Kyle Kuzma, like, but his first year in Washington, 17.9 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 0.9 blocks. You know, he shot 35% from the field, from three. Like I like the idea.
Point guard.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma. Realistically, Kyle Kuzma is who you hoped you were getting when you drafted Marvin Bagley. You were hoping you were getting the better version of, and it's also why.
Still can't believe the Pistons drafted Marvin Bagley.
That's right.
Still can't believe
the Pistons.
Bad teams stay bad.
Yeah, that's what they do.
You guys are killing me. Yeah, I mean,
if you say it enough, James, it'll be true. We just got to keep saying it, and it'll finally be true.
So, like Michael Porter Jr., it's the reason why the Kings were so intrigued by Michael Porter Jr. In the 2018 draft. They wanted him as well. They would have taken him number 2 overall if it wasn't for the back issues. So the point that I'm making, though, is that you've been looking for this type of guy. The fact that you botched the 2017 draft and didn't just draft Kyle Kuzma, that's on you. Like, I mean, that was on Vlade and his group at that point. They had 3 opportunities to draft the guy, and didn't. So, but that's the type of player you're looking for. And he's 28. He fits the age arc of your team. He fits it better than Siakam. I just don't think he's as good as Siakam.
No, I understand that.
What do you think? I'll answer one of the questions defensively, but what do you think Siakam is better at than Kuzma?
Well, I think defensively, yes.
Even though I don't think he's still better, but he's not the defender he used to be.
Yeah, I mean, shooting wise, he hadn't been the shooter either. But I think I read something like over his last 16 games, he's shooting 41% from 3. Siakam is.
He's killing like in the last week and a half. I think he averaged like 28, 29.
Yeah, he's showcasing himself.
Right.
He knows what's happening here.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I just think he's a more solid NBA player and a more established. Like, you know exactly what you're getting. I think there is concerns about a player like Kyle Kuzma who, you know, like decided to go back to a team that everyone knew was not going to be good instead of going to a team like the Kings, because this deal was there this summer. Like if he wanted to be a King, he easily could have been a King this summer. I almost guarantee it. Like there was definite interest from the Kings. They had around $25 million they could have gone out and spent, and instead they went back to the Harrison Barnes deal that they got done. That deal was there. So if he wanted to come to Sacramento this summer, it would have happened. So and that just tells me I don't know that he, like a lot of the things that Kyle Kuzma does, I don't know are serious. Like, does Kyle Kuzma, if I were to ask you this, who makes you a championship contender? Kyle Kuzma at the 4 or Pascal Siakam? I think everyone in the room is going to go, oh, Pascal Siakam probably makes you more of a championship contender. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Kyle Kuzma is a good fit.
I think it's a discussion. I think it's a thought. The things that you say about Kyle Kuzma, I completely understand. But I don't know, man. I think they're a lot closer than maybe some people give them credit for.
I don't think some of that stuff about Kuzma's fair. Like, I understand what you're saying about Sacramento and leaving a bad team, but a lot of these guys have egos. Like, we could turn this thing around. Me, Jordan Poole, like we could get something going here. I think about 10 games into the season, it was like, man, we ain't gonna do that. So let's just have fun.
After that alley-oop off the backboard down 30.
I get that.
That was the one. Like, wait a minute.
I get that, but like he was there. Maybe he was comfortable. I think there's probably a lot of things going into him not leaving. And I don't know. I don't know this guy, James. I'm trying to stall him out a little bit. I feel like the narrative on him is the same. I feel like some people focus on this isn't what you said. I feel like some people focus on the way he dresses too much, as if he isn't allowed to show his personality through his wardrobe. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that type of stuff. The stuff that's tough to excuse is the alley-oop off the backboard.
To be fair to him, he just caught the alley-oop. What's he supposed to do? Let it drop? No, he's going to finish it.
Really, it depends on... Like,
did Kuz have the fall? Who had the fall that we watched that one day? That was Kuz, yeah.
No, that's the one where he tried to do the Kobe. That's right.
Oh, he tried to do the Kobe, and it's like his legs buckled, and he just like fell to the ground.
He did the Kobe, and he fell like Rick Steiner or Scott Steiner off of the ring that one time.
Not good.
Yeah,
not good.
I think you need to know if he's a lifestyle, if he's an NBA lifestyle guy, or
we'll take him to Tiger.
If he's really a player.
Take him out.
No, I mean, and I think that's going to be the problem that he has. Like, the image that he's put out there.
I understand.
That he has to like answer for. Where Siakam, it's not a question. I mean, like, Siakam's a guy who worked himself into the league. He played in the G League. Like, his story is really cool to get to where he is. And I don't know. I don't know that they're going to get either one of them. That's at the end of the day, because we keep talking like, we're not sure that someone out there wants to trade for Harrison Barnes or wants to trade for Kevin Huerter or wants to trade for Davion Mitchell. Like, that's a lot of money. We're talking about $40 million in player. And sure, you're shaving a couple of years off of what you would have to pay Siakam. But I know Siakam's going to be a better player over the next 4 years than the other three. And at some point, I think you have to, like, if you're the Kings, it would be an all-in move for sure. But I also think there's a caveat that you're not going to have to give up the type of draft capital that you would have thought you would have to for Siakam, because he's an expiring contract. They've gotten past the point of no return. Basically, there's only they can give him a contract extension, but if he's traded, he can't get a contract extension there and then get traded. He has to wait 6 months if after the extension. The only extension the Kings could give him if he was traded to the Kings is a 2-year extension. So he's not getting that during the season. Once the season's over and we get in to free agency, he can get a full 4 or possibly even 5-year deal from the Kings. So there are a lot of like weird variables with all of this. I think the safer play, which I don't think I ever thought I would say this about him, the safer play is Kuzma, because it costs you one of those guys. One of your $17 to $19 million contract players, and
which actually poses a different question.
Yeah,
why does that matter for what? Why would Washington do that?
Because maybe they don't want to take back as much.
What trade?
Well, for Harrison, it's a dollar for dollar, or damn near a dollar for dollar trade, isn't it?
You shave a year off the contract.
Okay,
with Davion and him, you'd shave a year off of both of them. So basically, it'd save them, $20 million down the stretch. But the reason they would do it is because you're giving them a first-round pick, at least one, and they want multiple.
Got you.
That's what the word is. They want multiple first-round picks.
You could want what you want.
Is Tommy Shepard still the guy?
Yeah. I don't know. Is Tommy Shepard still at Washington? I wouldn't think so.
Settle down, Tommy Shepard.
Yeah, I think there is a way in which you could see that this thing could get a little crazy 2 years from now. When if you gave Siakam all the money, you already gave Fox and Sabonis all the money.
Will Dawkins is the Washington
general
manager.
And then if you gave Malik Monk the $17.5 million, all of a sudden you're thinking, okay.
Which, by the way, just for those who have missed these previous conversations, that's the most.
The most the Kings can give him is like $17.5 million. Right.
And I think what every Kings fan is worried about is that going to be enough.
Yeah. Well, that and like there's really not a way unless you're just folding up all of your other exceptions to pay him more than that. And if you're trading away, like the only way to pay him more really is if you trade away Harrison Barnes, Kevin Herter, Davion Mitchell for Siakam, and then Siakam bolts, and then you have cap space, and then you could.
It does
give him
not
more.
sound like an ideal situation at all.
No, it does. None of that's ideal.
You know what I would do? Because they got cap space.
Oh,
I'd be a jerk. If I'm the Pacers, I'd offer Malik Monk a ton of money to come play for me.
Yeah.
They got money.
They got money.
Yeah.
But they got Benedict Mathurin there too.
Oh.
I'd talk if I was De'Aaron, I'd be like, don't go there. You ain't never gonna be able to shoot. Well, you'll be able to shoot. Everybody shoots over there.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. All of it's like there's a lot of dynamic like pieces to all of it, and it's just tough because I want to see if Vivek Ranadive will pay, because so far he's paid a lot more than Maloof's had to pay for sure. But the Kings are still bottom 10 salary team in the
You're talking
NBA.
about paying into the tax?
Yeah, because if you're building this team, you know, it's what we talked about earlier. Like, what's the pitch you'd give Siakam? The pitch you give Siakam tonight all night long while he's on the court the whole time, you're telling him, you come here and we could be contenders for the next 5 years.
I like your announcer Scott idea. I think that's a great idea. Scott Mocha,
Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes. And Pascal Siakam, and then just let it like live and breathe and have lights and music and let Siakam light the beam or something like or no, that's what you hey, you can't now, but you could.
Yeah,
you could.
Everybody get something in their seats, and Scott Moak will be like, Pascal Siakam.
Yes, exactly. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, if I'm talking like
Keegan Murray looking around mad as hell. Like,
I honestly think, I know it sounds crazy, I think Pascal Siakam potentially makes you a championship contender.
I don't think that's crazy.
That's not crazy.
Maybe not, hopefully this year, but I think next year, yeah, why not? Like, okay. Now it's going to cost. Vivek's going to have to pay. Maybe he doesn't take 192 million. I mean, again, the guy's going to be 30. Maybe you can get him for a 4-year 160 where you're paying him 40 million. But
you don't
I don't
want
know.
that money, I think.
It's a lot of money.
GM Gilladge, the GM expert, Will Dawkins is a scout for Oklahoma City. Like he's got acquired picks in his blood. He might say, "Hey, keep Herter. Just send me another pick."
Yeah,
picks.
I was chuckling earlier because I was trying to find the exact quote, but we're talking about the Wizards and the franchise and all this other stuff. Did you see? So they announced they had plans to move to Alexandria. That's the arena.
Yeah.
I think it was the mayor of Alexandria? What did you see what she had to say?
I didn't.
She said something along the lines of, if you think I'm going to funding for an arena here in Alexandria before I fix the schools, before I fix these roads and do all this other stuff, I must have stupid ass written across my forehead.
Wow.
That's an honest politician right there.
Well, I can tell you the mayor of Las Vegas has that written right across his forehead. I think he has that on a shirt that he wears every day. Yeah.
As long as it's not a judge in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Wow.
Be careful, all my judges in Las Vegas.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
And
where was the security guard?
Yeah. I know there should, Washington Wizards should be like checking out that guy's stats. I mean, that guy jumped right over the top of a desk.
The Raiders need to be looking at him.
I mean, that guy had like clearly 38-inch vert without any questions, maybe 40. Yeah.
Unsigned free agents.
Not great.
Unsigned free agents. Well, the Kings and the Raptors do play tonight. And Siakam, as of this moment, is a member of the Toronto Raptors. So we'll dive into that game. We'll come back. We'll talk more with James Ham. We can go over some more fictitious draft. You said something earlier as it relates to Kuzma. You said in the Washington deal, you only have to trade Harrison or Kevin Huerter with Davion because the money matches.
Mm-hmm.
That sparked another question in my head. We'll talk about it. And, of course, we'll talk about the game tonight. James Ham, Steelo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Oh, man. Yeah, you gotta try this French dip, man.
Oh, yeah, the French dip is so good. Somebody asked a question. Brian, the reporting that's coming out today, Brian, is that Atlanta has decided that everyone is available except for Trae Young and Jalen Johnson. That they are willing to trade anybody and everybody, and they're going to rebuild around those two, and they are out of the Pascal Siakam sweepstakes. That's why they were chasing heavily. But yeah, that's where we are with that right there.
Is there anything on that team that could help the Kings?
Atlanta?
Yeah.
I would take Bogey.
You take Bogey back?
Heck yeah. I mean, Bogey is a really good player. Like, he impacts winning, and if you put him on a winner, I think he could really be a solid, like he played the 2 and the 3 like he did before. But I mean, the dude's averaging 18 points a game. Like, shooting the ball great, passes the ball great. I don't know that I want a couple of years of him.
What's he got, like 2 years left?
No, I think they gave him a 3-year new deal.
Oh yeah, he just gave him a new deal. That's right.
Yeah. Let's see who else. I'm a little out on DeJounte after watching him play again. Just the way he's playing there, it's just a bunch of wasted movement. Like, maybe the Kings could help him get out of that, but a player like that, you can't coach that stuff out of him between now and the end of the season. That would be like a couple of, like, maybe by next season you'd be okay. DeAndre Hunter's interesting too. Zabo's bringing up DeAndre Hunter, but he is always hurt. Always. Like, you go through a season where you don't have any injuries because you didn't have any injury-prone players. So, not that one. This one. Do you think the Kings make a move anytime soon, or will this be a day of deadline trade? Like, teams wait until the last second because the team who's usually given up something wants as much as humanly possible. So probably not today, although, like, you never know. You never know how these things work out.
Man, it's cold in here.
Yeah, I usually don't mess with it because I worry that after I leave, there's 2 of you in here and it would get warmer.
I think it just gets colder I think it's on a timer, to be honest. I think it just gets colder at the end of the day.
Did you guys put the French dip in the au jus? No? There's a bowl of au jus over there.
I just gave it to Kenny.
Oh, it's yeah.
I see something like that. I really want to focus on it. Like, I can finger food the fries, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like to enjoy my
meals. What am I? Oh.
Yeah, see, here's someone asking about Bey, too, just to mess with me. Yeah, I like Sadiq Bey. I would take Sadiq Bey. That's the problem that you have with Atlanta is if we like all the players they have, how come they suck? Like, because I don't hate DeAndre Hunter. I don't hate Jalen Johnson. I would take Bogey. I would think about DeJounte Murray. I like Clint Capella. Like, we just keep naming players that we like on there. AJ Griffin? Yeah, I'm in. Like, how come they're no good? They got Quinn Snyder.
bad mix of players.
I hate when you're in a group text and there's a number in there you don't know. Looking at this group text, like there's a number in here I don't know.
It happens.
Yeah. All right. Back here with our insider of the insiders, James Ham here. Of course, you can catch him and Kyle Madsen Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You could also check him out in podcast form. I don't know how you find him This is the stupidest thing in history. I don't know. Search the insiders. Search James Ham. Search Kyle Madsen.
It's James Ham and Kyle Madsen show.
Jesus Christ.
Legal got a hold of us.
Oh,
We're not allowed to say, well, we're not allowed to be called on podcast forum the insiders.
you guys are like the Super Bowl.
That's right. You call them the inside. I don't know how we couldn't make this clear to them. The insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen. I would bet everything I have and everything that Kenny has, and we all know how much that is, that James Ham and Kyle Madsen are not two names that are trademarked through podcast form. But hey, the hell do I know? I'm just a dumbass. I'm just a pop DJ over here. For those that have been listening all day. James, where does Eminem rank in your never mind.
Your thoughts.
Never mind. You mentioned
I don't have that list on me.
Thank God.
Don't have the list
Thank
on.
God. I feel very bad for this, but you mentioned a moment ago, we were talking about like trade scenarios with Siakam, Kuzma, all of that. And you mentioned with the Kuzma deal, well, it's not Harrison and Kevin Huerter. It's one or the other because that's how the money matches. And Davion Mitchell is in there and whatever else is after that is after that. It's hypothetically, just for fun. We'll say it's Harrison in this situation, right? Harrison and Davion. They want to be more serious, so they want a guy like Harrison Barnes. Got you. Do you think they're looking to do you think they're exploring trading Kevin Huerter regardless? Even if that Siakam deal isn't out there, even if that Kyle Kuzma deal isn't out there, or the package deal isn't out there, do you think that's a player that they might try to move here in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've heard, like, I know I've heard some murmurs that that the two guys that have been available from Sacramento are Kevin Huerter and Davion Mitchell.
And it doesn't take a insider to figure that out. Sometimes you could just watch and go, trade deadline's approaching. A guy just moved out of the starting lineup, and this other guy's kind of been in and out of the lineup. All right. I see it.
May have heard that before they took him out of the starting lineup.
Yep. Got you.
So yeah. But that's like outside sources, like nowhere near Sacramento that I've heard stuff. If we're constructing trades here, if I were Washington, I would much prefer to take a flyer on a 25-year-old Kevin Huerter than a 31-year-old Harrison Barnes.
Sure.
Because they're not looking to win. And if I'm the Sacramento Kings, if there's some way you could get Kyle Kuzma in exchange for Kevin Huerter and Davion Mitchell and a protected pick, okay. I'm here to listen. If it costs you a little bit more than that, maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds, okay, I'm still listening. Like if it starts hitting 2 first-round picks or it's unprotected first-round pick, I'm like, I don't know. But I keep coming back to this idea. If there is some way that you did a trade that was Huerter and Davion for Kuzma, and Harrison Barnes became your guy off the bench, playing the 3 and the 4 and sometimes some 2. Maybe you go a big man lineup where you got Fox with Keegan Murray at the 2, Harrison Barnes and Kuzma, all 3 of them together with a guy like Domas or with a guy like Trey Lyles, and you go big lineup. I think that like the versatility is crazy, and like you don't have to push Harrison Barnes out. Like, is he a frontline starter anymore? Probably not. Can he get you, like, is he an okay starter for what you're doing right now as like a 5th option or 4th option, depending on him and Chris Forte? Okay. But if you were able to add a guy like Kuzma and not lose a guy like Harrison and have that as one of your rotational pieces, you just got a lot better. We always talk about you need more Harrison Barnes, not fewer Harrison Barnes. I think we've moved past that because we've gotten a few years past that statement, right? Mm-hmm. But that still doesn't mean that, like, if you had your choice between Harrison Barnes and name that 6th or 7th player on another team, Harrison Barnes is really good in that situation. If he's your 7th guy, if your three first guys off the bench are Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes, and Trey Lyles, man, you're a good team. you're a really good team. And so, yeah, I'm okay with that. But again, it takes two to tango. And every team that you deal with has their own wishes, their own ideas of what they're trying to be and who they're going to be and what they're looking for in a trade, which is why, the OG Anunoby trade, the Kings were never going to be part of unless they were giving up Keegan Murray. You saw what they got. The Kings don't have that to offer.
Yeah.
But Siakam is different. He makes too much money. And so you have to take on veterans in that situation. You're not going to get players who make $8 or $9 million. You're not going to get 4 of those for Pascal Siakam to make the money work. It's just a really weird situation. So you're going to have to take back some salary if you're Toronto. And for that matter, that's okay. Like Kevin Huerter could be their starting shooting guard for the next 2 years. No, and they've got Gary Trent Jr., who's an expiring contract. Kevin Huerter could step right in and be in their starting lineup alongside RJ Barrett, alongside Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes. Like if they're building a team, he's 25 years old. And if they don't think that Harrison Barnes is going to work out there, they could easily flip Harrison Barnes for a first-round pick. It might not be a good first-round pick, but early 20s, mid-20s, okay. And that's where I think even at this point, the Kings are probably saying, okay, how do we get a third team or a fourth team involved? If Toronto's not interested in a 31-year-old Harrison Barnes, maybe there is a team out there that's interested in Harrison Barnes, and there's a player that's not as good as a player like RJ Barrett, but maybe there's an Emmanuel Quickley level player out there that another team would rather have Harrison Barnes to try to get them to a different level, and they're willing to give up that player, and that player could go to Toronto. So I think that's where you have to be creative in these situations, and that's why being a GM is not just grabbing a trade machine, plugging players in, oh, it works. So
who says no?
Who says no? Yeah, and even I was looking at Toronto, if you could work a deal, man, I'd take Jaden McDaniels back. Is it Jalen? Whichever.
Jalen, I think.
The other McDaniels brother is in Toronto, and he was really good last year, and he's not playing at all. 6'9", super athletic, super long wing that averaged 12 and a half points last year for Charlotte. He's sitting on their bench. He's playing barely at all. Take him back. You want to dump a little bit of salary there too, $4.5 million for next year. Now you got a little bit more that you can work with. I don't know. If I'm the Kings, there are a lot of ways you can improve this roster, and it doesn't just have to be one big swing for one big player. But I certainly like some of the options that I think they're going to have here in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks.
One of the things that's been asked a little bit and been a concern for some people is the fact that this got out, and now Barnes and Huerter and Davion hear that they're on the trading block. If they may have, how these things go, they probably already knew if it was real, but maybe they didn't. Do you think this affects anything? Affects their play? Affects maybe their disposition move forward? Basically, should you have tried to keep this under wraps?
Okay, so first of all, the Kings aren't putting this out there. Wes Wilcox, Monty McNair aren't texting Jake Fisher. So this is through the grapevine, and to be honest, it's stuff that we've heard rumors of. I've heard rumors of. Damien, I think you've heard rumors of, little bits and pieces of different things that we've heard over the course of the last maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
You got a text about Kuzma yesterday. I'm sure you got that. Yeah, it's out there.
And once again, if you're just watching, it's just if you're just watching the Kings,
right.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to answer your question, I'll say a couple of things. Number one, Davion Mitchell, I don't think wants to be here anymore. He hasn't told me that specifically, but he's tired of whatever's happening here. I guarantee that. I mean, he's gone as far as to block all of us on social media.
It's understandable. Well, not the blocking, but not when wanting to move on. If I'm Davion, I get it.
Well,
I understand.
I get it too, and I would my response. I've only been fair with Davion. I tell you guys all the time. I don't think it's Davion is a problem. I think it's Davion's fit with the Kings is the problem. It's not. I don't think there's a problem there. I think he's going to go on to be a very good NBA player somewhere else. This is a really tough fit for him because of his style of play, right? But then the Kevin Huerter situation, man, would it hurt his psyche? Yeah, but like, where are we at right now? Like, that's already a problem. Like, he's in his head. You can see it, and that's before trade rumors or anything else happened. Like, that's kind of been where he's at for a little while. And I think, if nothing else, he probably needs a fresh start. Now, when it comes to Harrison Barnes, I'm pretty sure that the way Harrison Barnes and the Kings approached this summer was as a business negotiation, straight up business. And they came back together as a partnership because that was what was advantageous for both of them. Hiding within Harrison Barnes' 3-year contract that pays him 17, 18, and 19 million is a 15% trade kicker. Like, there was an insurance policy put in case Harrison Barnes needs to pick up and move midseason. So I'm going to guess that they were honest with each other in their negotiations, that we're signing you to a 3-year deal, but you know what that means. That at any point this, we couldn't go a different direction. You can't really go a different direction because you're under contract, but you understand where we're going here, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if there's a point where we have to trade you or whatever, we're going to incentivize that for you by giving you a 15% trade kicker, and let's move forward. So I think the answer is no. Should it affect their performance? Maybe, but that's why you have Chris Duarte and you have Malik
their
Monk.
Performance isn't the best right now anyway.
No,
so
I would agree. I would agree.
Like,
you're not worried about with Harrison. He's a pro's pro.
The Kevin Huerter report didn't come out 3 weeks ago. Right.
No.
My man's been, unfortunately struggling.
Yeah, for like
Busted, played his ass off. Yeah. Say that again for those that played his ass off. Yeah. Just he can't hit a shot.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
He's in his head.
Dude was shooting 50% last year.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that all year. Why not? I don't know who said that. Someone might have said it on the radio. But
I feel for him because he's a good dude, and like, he doesn't want to miss shots. He's, I remember back when Nick Stauskas was drafted by the Kings, and you walk in the locker room, and it was tough because it was at Arco, and right when you walk in the door is all the young players. They're like stacked up right by the door. Mm-hmm. And Stauskas is always right there, and every time you walk in the door, you could just see his eyes were red. Like, the frustration level, like, and you talk to him, he's like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I've been a shooter since I was a little kid. I've never missed shots like this. I just can't hit a shot. I don't know what the problem is. Like, you can see like the anguish with him. It's the same with Huerter. Like, that guy's a walking bucket. He's been hitting threes, like, going crazy for years. All of a sudden you can't shoot. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I feel for him because he doesn't want to fail. He likes what's happening. He likes the guys in the room. He doesn't want to let people down. And so it's the dynamics of basketball are weird. Some people take things, like, it impacts them differently. And I honestly think that, like, whatever happened in the playoffs was bad. Whatever happened at All-Star Weekend didn't help Kevin Huerter. He came out of that a little bit. He was really good in March and early April. He gets to the playoffs. It's not great. But then you get to this season, and the first thing that happens right before the start of the season, Mike goes, oh, maybe I'll switch up the shooting guard spot. And you rattled the dude.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been himself. Yeah. So I don't know what to say.
You mentioned something in there as well with Harrison about the trade kicker. I wasn't aware of that. Does that make it harder to trade him? Because tell me, for those that aren't sure, like myself, trade kicker, the team that's acquiring Harrison has to.
No, the team who trades
trading him. Okay,
that trades has to pick up the trade kicker, and the trade kicker is 15%, but it's 15% on the remaining money on the deal. So we're not talking about a couple of $100. We're talking about 15% on the remaining 37 million plus whatever's left this year.
Does Siakam have one?
I don't think so.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't.
But Casey,
that
could be up to like $5.5 million or something. Like, that's not chump change. There's money there.
Right.
But that's paid, and it's counted. Not only is it paid by the team who trades him, but it's also on their salary cap as money that they can't take back in. So yeah. So if you're looking at that deal and you're sending Harrison Barnes out at 17 million. But on you coming back, he's the equivalent of counting for, I don't know, quick math, 1.5 plus Yeah, I don't know what that is. I could maybe 2 point something more than what we're talking about. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
What do you think about the there's a game tonight. I'm sure
Yeah.
on your way too. What do you think about the game tonight? This is I like the Raptors. I think this is a really tough squad. Scotty Barnes is very, very good. And then now
Yes.
you've got the kind of, the new dynamic of, the New York Knicks there.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Kings played a really tough game just like 2 nights ago.
Well, this is a third game in 4 nights too for
Yeah.
the Kings.
Yeah.
I mean, that these back-to-backs eat you up, and it's the gift that keeps on giving, because you had, one game leading into it was first game of 4 nights,
Mhm.
3 and 4 nights. Now you're at the back end, so you've played a bunch of games here. Like, look, if I don't like the matchup against Toronto.
Mhm.
Toronto is like a scaled down version of the Clippers, or a scaled down version of the Pelicans. They aren't just long and athletic; they're super physical. And like Scotty Barnes, loved him coming out of the draft. Even more now. I mean, he is just developing into such an incredible player. What's he at? Like 21 points, 9 rebounds, like 5.8 assists, something like that. Shooting 38% from 3. Like, he's turning into a wonderful player. And when you add in these other players, I'm not a huge RJ Barrett guy. RJ Barrett's if you're looking at their squad, he would be on like the soft side of their squad. But Emmanuel Quickly, that is one physical dude. That is not someone you want to get into like a alley fight with. Like, that's a tough dude.
Tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's a tough dude, and he's physical, and he especially on the offensive end, he doesn't mind running through people. Like, it's going to be a tough game for the Kings tonight. It's a super physical, super good team that just isn't. They haven't played well, and they've had this like dark cloud following them around. They're like the Charlie Brown of the league, where everyone knows that their 2 best players are likely getting traded sometime during the season. One of them's already gone. And, well, I don't even know if they're the 2 best players anymore. I think Scotty Barnes is the best player.
The 2 best were always Siakam and Scotty to me. OG was a good ball player, but he ain't better than those other 2.
No.
But, I mean, I don't know
OG
if you saw
is your Eminem on the Toronto Raptors.
Don't do that. Don't do, I think OG's a good ball player.
Okay.
I don't think he's top 2.
Okay, well, he's definitely not.
I don't know if you saw the same thing, and I couldn't. It's a video, but there's words. You see the little, they're calling in the chat, and it is a little mini Shams bomb.
No.
Shams was on one of these little shows, and the tweet says, the Raptors are ramping up trade talks surrounding star forward Pascal Siakam, with a Western Conference playoff contender emerging as a serious suitor.
Have we listened to this?
Well, I mean, we could. I
don't think he's going to curse. So we can.
Well, yeah, I could pull it up on the screen. I mean,
But
we've had producers cuss today. It wouldn't really matter what. Wouldn't really matter what. We get Sean.
So I mean,
it's right here. Yeah, it's only a 54-second clip. We could run this.
Stand by. And earlier, Jake Fisher talked about Kings, Pistons, Pacers being in the running. So
Jason Anderson has deciphered it for us and said the Sacramento Kings are emerging as the serious suitor.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, let's hear it.
Just for fun.
The Raptors are ramping up trade talks around Pascal Siakam, and I'm told the Sacramento Kings are emerging as a serious suitor in Siakam. They're among the offers and options that Toronto has. And this is a gaining interest for Sacramento to pair and combine a big 3 of Pascal Siakam, De'Aaron Fox, and Domantas Sabonis if they're able to pull a deal off. But what could be a very integral part of these conversations with Siakam is he is on an expiring contract of about $38 million, and his willingness and his desire to re-sign as a free agent in July, whether that's in Sacramento or another team that he does get moved to, that is going to play a big part in this. That could play a major role in this, for if that team that's trying to get him is going to want to check into whether he will re-sign as a free agent. And if not, that could also dissuade some teams. The Raptors are ramping up trade talks around Pascal Siakam, and I'm told the Sacramento Kings are.
I love that. I love it. Is it the Kings? Is the what? Yes, he says that very clearly.
Shout out to JA for doing a little digging and finding out that it's
Shout out to JA for letting the video play for 12 seconds.
Good for him.
That's terrific.
I mean,
Shams gonna.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the move to be made.
Well, it could be done today. I
I'm
mean,
ready for
all
him.
parties are here.
Hey,
What are we waiting for?
Let him leave Sacramento.
That's it.
We were talking about this earlier. Like I was telling Kyle that maybe you remember Joel Youngblood, the
Yeah, the Giants player, right?
yeah, he was a
I don't
Giants
like
player.
the implication that I don't know who Joe Youngblood is.
Do you know who Joel
yes, I do, but that's fine. Go
okay,
ahead.
so in
I had his
19,
baseball card.
in
Stop it.
1982,
You were rich.
he was playing for the New York Mets during the day. He played the Cubs in Chicago. He gets traded, flies to I think Philly, and plays for the Expos. And he has at bats in both games in two totally different places. And so yeah, like guys get traded like that. Sure.
No, Siakam get traded at halftime.
I
Play
think
for
it'd be
both teams.
really interesting if Pascal Siakam is sitting in the first quarter of the game and all of a sudden does not go back in the game the rest of the night.
Oh man!
And the like because we had you remember was it
you
Corey
see
Joseph?
Monty high-fiving guys?
The Kings down
sitting
22.
Hey, if you're going to the arena tonight, all eyes on Monty McNair.
That's right.
Why are we going to waste time here? Why not just, all right, Kevin Harrison play the first half with the Kings, second half, throw on the Raptors
Hey,
jerseys, we'll get it
Let's
going.
make history tonight.
The Kings down 20. Monty like, all right, good job, Wes, good job.
Over
What
there
the hell's
high-fiving
going on here?
Jill Adge in the front row, and
Amazing.
oh yeah,
I think it's gonna get done.
skill.
I don't know. I mean, we're joking about today, or kind of, but I think it's gonna get done.
Oh.
Well,
I think
we'll
it's gonna get
see.
done. I think there's too much smoke. There's too much smoke,
Can I ask?
and
Question we
people are
got-
being direct. Sean's being direct. He hearing things.
Yes, we're all hearing things. We are.
Shams has never been wrong.
What
No.
was Shams wrong? I'm just
The,
at no. I'm
the
asking.
big three shutting down
Yeah, when
comes
the
to
big
mind.
three died.
The
Oh,
big
yeah.
that comes to mind.
That's nobody's perfect. The other guy not in the top 5. Damn, I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Oh,
Some people
Cube?
were talking about.
Oh,
earlier.
I mentioned that.
People were talking about that earlier. They're like, Cube, no Cube.
No, Cube is my guy. Like Cube. But
He not my top.
if you really want to do this, we could do it. Because
Well,
we
yeah,
need to
I
have
got
we
2
need to
minutes.
have a long discussion about 2 of the individuals in the top 5.
We don't have that long discussion.
Okay. All right then. Then if we're not having that discussion, then Cube's not in it.
Yeah, he's not in my top.
But if we're not having a
He's in
conversation,
Jason Jones is top 5, though, I'm sure.
his he got Jason Kendrick. I'm curious. I know Kendrick's one for him.
Mm.
Who? Okay, go ahead, James.
I don't even know what we're talking about at this point. I don't know.
Who are your top 4 ranked, Damian?
Ranked? I'm not ranking them. I'm not doing
That's
that.
almost impossible.
I'm
Who's
not
your Mount
ranking them.
Rushmore? You have a Mount Rushmore? Is that what we're talking?
Well, that's what it's essentially what I did. I gave 4 guys who are solidified in the top 5 of hip hop artists, but I don't know how to rank them. Jay's my favorite.
Okay,
Big
so
would be my second favorite.
I think that's how you rank it. The 2 outsides, like those are your 2 favorites. The 2 guys in the middle are like
so Jay, and
Those are
Big
those
are
are
my
the
favorites.
bookends, the
Yeah, those
cornerstones.
are my favorites. And then Pac and M are in it. And
Okay.
Emin is not my favorite, but
Okay.
he deserves to be there. Ham?
I concur.
Show almost.
knew
Dilo
I
and
was gonna
Casey
say
almost
something.
blew up 2 hours ago. It almost ended. The whole thing almost ended because I swear I'm gonna go
Because
back
he
and watch
heard
the
me
tape.
wrong.
I think you called me a pop DJ.
Why would I say that? I know you ain't never been on the end.
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Are you one of
I
them
don't
there
know, that's
pop
what I heard.
DJs?
But I was pissed. I
Wait
ain't
a
never
minute.
been more mad at Kenny than I
I
was,
was
at that
wondering why
moment.
he was so mad at that. I was like, I
You
just
said he was over there
Wow.
playing it at the end.
So bad he got me to cuss.
The guy, don't put that on me.
Don't
That was
you
like
put
2
that on
hours
me.
later. Hey, I just one quick question. We the show is over. Shouldn't the Warriors factor into this somewhere?
Yeah.
No,
No,
they ain't no good.
no,
Yeah, but
they're
they
not.
get-
But they got the
some stuff.
assets,
They got some stuff to give up.
including, and I'm
But I'll say this.
They got
though,
a bunch of guys they won't
but-
play.
real quick though. I'll say this though, James. You mentioned something that I didn't think about. They do have to make money match up.
Yeah.
So if
Oh no,
Paul.
Chris Paul's money.
Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I've been saying that all year.
Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga, maybe a Moses Moody.
Yeah, well, wait till the bus pulls up at the Golden One Center to take him to
Well,
Oakland
where's Siakam
or
gonna
San
play?
Francisco.
They still got a problem. They have a power.
Oh, they got all
forward.
sorts of problems.
They got a power forward that makes $25 million a year.
Well, whose fault's that?
Well,